RE Plus is the #1 energy show in North America. 40,000 of our closest friends are all about to depart Anaheim, California. And I thought before I let some of my favorite YouTube influencers get away, I'd bring them up on our Power Up Live stage so that we could chop it up and have a little fun. Joining me today is Solarboi Derek Mast,
Thank you for having me.
Martyna Kowalczyk,
Very good.
also known as Solar Time with Martyna,
There you go.
and none other than Mr. Joe Ordia of Solar Surge.
Thanks for having us, Nico. Great to be here.
Always good to see you, man. When I'm around you, I'm like, oh man, how do I get to 75,000 subscribers? I'm like watching this guy. What's he doing?
Oh, we all do.
We're all working on that problem.
So RE Plus is wrapping up, guys, and I thought that it would be fun if we just talk a little bit about what is going on the show floor, how you spent the last 3 days, because really you all three have a different approach to how you've built your channel, and I'm a little bit curious around how you are thinking about putting that content together. So Derek, I want to start with you. One of the things that you love and are looking forward to are kind of the methods and products that help create more stable systems in the overarching ecosystem of solar as it grows. What were you looking for? What did you find? And how were you thinking about putting content together to share with your audience?
Yeah, so my perspective is one of service. So this is after installation. I'm not trying to sell systems to people. I am maintaining them, either fulfilling the warranty of the company I work for, or taking sites that the installer has gone out of business and they don't have anybody to service their solar and it's not working. So that's what I do. So I get to see all of the problems that we run into with how systems are designed or particular products, how they function over the course of their life.
Yeah.
So my main focus ends up being, how do we get these systems to be super reliable going into the future? How do we design them? What products are best? And how I was thinking about doing content this year was, always interested in the hot newness, that I can find, like SMA's rapid shutdown, or the shutdown device that they have. That's the 3-in-1 is really interesting. It's still electronics on the roof, but it's reducing that, and it seems to be done in a way that is very thoughtful. Because when we all started doing rapid shutdown in the U.S., there was product that was shipped pretty quickly, and there wasn't a whole lot of design thought that went into that for installers to make it easy to support, easy to install. So that's sort of my perspective when I'm walking around the show.
So something that struck me that I think probably you guys all had a chance to go by and see is, BYD had a number of different inverter manufacturers in their booth, but the one that stood out to me, actually, probably to everyone's surprise, is Fronius. The Gen 24 Plus, the first hybrid inverter with over-the-air updates, is actually an Austrian surprise, right? I think it took them long enough to catch up. And I don't think Fronius, is going to mind hearing us say that. It took you long enough to catch up.
Oh my God, yeah.
Fronius. But it actually is clever. And it's useful.
No, I agree. And for full disclosure, they sponsored me doing a review for that product. But I do think it's a well thought through product. Right. I like the idea of it. You can buy it as a string inverter. So you can buy the Gen 24 without the Plus.
Yep.
And if you decide you want to go batteries later on, you can buy a firmware upgrade to enable you to throw batteries on that thing and feed a critical loads panel.
Yep.
So it's very well thought through in terms of future servicing and all that as well.
So Joe, I know that home electrification, in particular, the integration of electric vehicle charging and bi-directional to the home, is one of your hot buttons. So what stood out to you as you cruise the show floor?
Well, Nico, I think that exact trend is the biggest thing that stood out to me, is that solar has evolved. It's not just solar is its own stovepipe system, or the battery is its own stovepipe system. It is looking at this more of an entire smart home energy management solution, or smart home energy management system, which could include some solar PV generation. It could include battery storage. It could even include a fossil fuel burning generator. but then also bringing in the controls for things like water heating and HVAC into that equation as well. All of these things contribute to the energy profile of the home, and especially if you have an electric vehicle charger in the home, all of that sort of contributes to the energy situation of that homeowner. And I think where the technology is taking us is to where all those systems need to be able to work together in an intelligent fashion, where they're communicating together and they're making decisions together. For example, if you're during peak rate hours and you need to run air conditioning in the home, your home energy management software operating system may lower the intensity of your air conditioner to help you avoid incurring peak rates from your utility if your solar can't keep up with meeting the needs of that demand by itself. So I think that's what we're seeing. That's where the technology is going. And of course, I think that the challenge for a lot of the solar contractors and installers and electricians out there is how can they handle all of that additional complexity. Whereas just 2 or 3 years ago, a lot of solar companies were just worried about slapping glass on the roof. It's much more complicated than that now.
Yeah. Did anything stand out for you all in that regard in terms of how the home electrification market is evolving?
I will say that I feel like we kind of made things more complicated in the past. And I think you would agree that like we brought panel level monitoring and rapid shutdown to the roof. We were just talking about how we are putting a device under a panel to tell us when that device goes bad.
Right.
Literally, because panels really do not go bad.
Yeah, right.
How many panels have you ever replaced?
Compared to optimizers fail way
goodness.
more than panels
Or even
do.
compared to inverters.
Yes. Well, microinverters, panel optimizers. So that was kind of the agenda of the industry a few years ago, or, starting whenever the rapid shutdown came in. And we kind of are coming back to the roots. I feel like we're starting to make things less complicated and definitely more simple.
Yeah.
With, like you said, the rapid shutdown device, 3-to-1, we're making it less complicated on the roof, which I am extremely excited about because in service, I as an installer, you were an installer too, right? We know how much panel level monitoring complicated things for the installers. So I'm excited about that for sure. And I definitely agree with the electrification of the whole house, smart panels, but also trusting the brand that has been around for a long time.
Yeah.
Like I saw Square D having smart breakers where you don't necessarily have to replace.
Finally.
Yeah, come on, right?
Talk about.
So lots of cool things coming into the market with brands that we've seen for a very long time.
Yeah.
And to speak to the complexity stuff on the load management side that we're starting to get into now in the industry, I am, like you said, I want our solar panels, our solar installations, the stuff that goes on the roof that you have to go on the roof to fix. I want that to get a lot simpler.
Right.
But we do need to think about all of the load management stuff is increasing complexity, like you said, and that's in a completely different scenario because you're on the ground theoretically, much less to think about while you're trying to balance in a precarious situation. So I think and to stabilize our grid, right? That's going to be stuff that needs to be much more common as we have a much deeper penetration of solar into the market at large.
For sure.
Martyna, you were on the hunt to see if we might unseat the, presumed leader in the market, Powerwall. The Powerwall 3 is obviously something that everyone was talking about this year. What'd you find?
Yeah. So, like I said, I like looking at big players, right? I like when there's a stable brand standing behind a battery product. Definitely something new in the market that we are seeing is panel manufacturers coming out with battery products. Canadian, EPQ, but also in Europe. I visited Intersolar in Europe.
Oh, you were in Munich.
And I mean, Trina, Jinko, everybody has a battery.
Oh, yeah,
Everybody has a battery. So it's kind of crazy because if you had a neighborhood, everybody could have a different brand.
Yeah.
Which would be a headache for maintenance.
That's true.
But I will say that definitely Franklin has a very solid product. SMA, extremely excited because I've been a huge string inverter proponent and fan. EPQ by Canadian stood out, and there was a lot of international brands that came to the market.
So many.
Which, if I were a homeowner, I would probably wait if I decided to purchase a brand of such, because what is important? Service, right? It can be cheap to put in, But if you don't have someone that you can call later on that can actually service that product, you're going to spend way more money fixing it than it actually costs you.
Cue Derek to tell his story about all the service nightmares.
Oh, man. Yeah. No.
Turn it off and on. Reset.
Yeah. I have, so pop quiz, which of the vertically integrated solar panel manufacturers actually makes their own cells?
Oh, that's a good question.
And of course, that's Q-Cells.
Is it?
A little bit of a cheat. I did have a chance to tour the facility where they make all of this stuff. But,
Oh, nice.
Now, Q-Cells has really taken things seriously as far as onshoring the solar supply chain. So they're building a facility that I had a chance to tour, where they're literally going to be bringing raw polysilicon material in one end of the factory, manufacturing their own solar ingots, wafers, cells, and then completed solar modules out the other end of the facility, all under one roof.
Oh my gosh.
So, but I know there's a number of others, and that's another theme that I've heard again and again at this year's show, Nico, is made in USA, and specifically domestic content. Not
Yeah,
just
we talked a lot about
final
domestic
assembly,
content here.
but domestic content.
Yeah. And I was actually referring to battery cells.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But I appreciate it.
But that's awesome.
Q-Cells make their own ingots and wafers as well. So do you guys know who in the vertically integrated solar module field makes their own battery cells? So
I can tell you.
fun fact, they have them in literally a USB chargeable AAA and AA battery format to show off just the fact that they make their own battery cells. It's going to surprise you. Jinko.
Oh, how about that?
Yeah. I met with their team in Philly, and I have a friend, Bernie, that works there, and he came over. He was like, "Hey, I know you love swag," and he like pushed these batteries across the table, and I was like, "Bernie, what is this, man? Like, is this some sort of joke?" And he was like, "No, these are our batteries." He's like, "They're inside of our home battery kit," and I was like, "Wait, Jinko makes a battery?" Right?
Exactly, right?
Exactly. And first of all, like all of the lack of marketing aside, the fact that they actually have invested in making their own battery cells is remarkable. It's wholly unexpected and unmarketed, but it's wholly unexpected. But I think it's a sign of the times because while I know, so I can't speak to who it is, but I know that Canadian uses an extremely high quality battery cell manufacturer in their product. Obviously, Q-Cells and Trina both have their own storage product as well. I think that what Jinko's doing is a sign of what we should expect. I don't think that we will see, they're in the utility scale side. We will continue to see three main manufacturers, Hythium, CATL, and BYD, dominating for the foreseeable future. Everybody's in a race that, like we learned here, to how many megawatt hours can we pack in a container. Most homeowners don't have to think about what fits in a container. They worry about what fits on their wall. Sounds like you didn't find a whole lot of competition, but Franklin is pushing up.
Franklin's pushing up. EP Cube is definitely pushing too.
Yeah.
And SMA, surprisingly, being kind of an underdog, they have a huge booth right in the front. And in Europe, they've had a very big booth as well. So very excited about that. I did see a whole lot of white labeled inverters that all look.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All the
For
same.
sure.
Oh my gosh.
For sure.
So yeah, Lux Power or Daya even was here, which was very surprising to me seeing them, But yeah, so I will say to the homeowner, to the consumer, I would go with somebody who, because even if, like you said, Jinko, even if you go with Jinko and their battery or their software is bad, they are a solid brand that's going to fix the problem.
And that has a US-based team.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I was going to, actually, I'm glad you brought that up, Martyna, because it's one of the things that homeowners and even business owners struggle with understanding is, what does this local support look like, and how do I check the boxes to know, like, yeah, I can buy off on the marketing. There are a lot of companies that have decent marketing, no local team.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on?
Yeah, well, it's so important. And again, solar is one of these things that you want to think about it as a long-term relationship.
Right.
Solar is not an off-the-shelf product. You buy it once, you put it in, and you forget about it. Solar is essentially a 25-year relationship with your equipment manufacturer and with your installation contractor. And as Derek knows, there's been a very high rate of failure among a number of the solar installers, which really puts homeowners in a bad situation. But you also don't want to get stuck with unsupported equipment from a manufacturer that is either out of business or they're just not reachable. They're just not reachable on the phone if you need them for support. So I think folks want to do just like Martyna said, think about it, which is the best partner? Who's going to support me best long term? Not just for the initial install, give me a cheap price, but who can I really have confidence in as a good long term partner?
Derek, you did some man on the street stuff. Thank you for that. It was a lot of fun to see how you could support, our live production here. Was there anything that made you laugh, kind of stood out to you in terms of how our community is really evolving?
Doing the man on the street stuff that kind of thing is new to me.
Yeah.
But once you get over the anxiety of asking random people about themselves on the street in front of a camera, it is super fulfilling to get to just have that excuse to meet random people that you wouldn't really have a reason to otherwise. And you get to hear about what they're passionate about, what they're here for. I mean, you have the people that are here for, they do insurance, and that's just, that's a reality of everybody needs insurance. But you also have the people that are really passionate about, like one person I talked to is really into getting people who are in disadvantaged communities who may have had prison time and need help to get back into the community, getting them green jobs, getting them started in this industry, and giving people that leg up. Of course, agrivoltaics is always interesting. There's so many aspects to our community, and it was really fun to have the opportunity to ask people about it. So.
It was fun to watch too. I think I watched you evolve from day one to day two, and the way that you approached it, even the way you edited it. You did a tremendous job. You and your wife were a lot of fun to see on the show floor. One of the things that I love about the Solarboi brand is how you very intentionally have built it around standing out and having a brand that's tied to you as Solarboi, and the unique nature of kind of how your family unit works is really fun to see.
And we like to and part of the brand is, it's almost a response to people like to get really serious when things are business, and I'm not into that. I prefer to be goofy, and I prefer to dance around and
happy.
I enjoy my job and I love it, and I want.
We need like a
back-to-back
picture of you and Joe Ordia.
Yeah,
because
I'm the opposite.
Yeah, because Joe's like Mr. Serious,
and we need those people too.
Yeah,
it's not a slam. It's just
I love it. We're gonna do
me.
after the show. We'll do one of those like Superman poses of you two back to back. That'd be fun.
Love it.
Well, as we wrap RE Plus, it's I think it's a good time to talk about this in our final recording. So what stood out to you? What do you want your audience to hear about the importance of this show and what it means to the average homeowner, business owner, and community as the solar industry is evolving? Joe, I'd like to start with you.
Yeah, thanks, Nico. So, the way I look at this is, RE Plus is the place that you go if you want to introduce yourself to the solar marketplace.
Yeah.
But the reason that I'm here is because many of my audience is not going to have the ability to travel to Anaheim and to spend a week out here meeting with solar industry personalities. And so a lot of what they look for me to do is to keep them up to date of what's going on. So a lot of our focus is going to be on products, technologies, big picture industry trends, so that consumers that are out there that are considering taking a solar journey for their household can do it with their eyes wide open about what are the options that are available, what are the different brands that are available, and again, who's going to be that best long-term partner for their success.
Amazing. Martyna?
let's go to Solarboi.
All right, let's try this again. Amazing. Solarboi?
What I really appreciate about coming to a conference like this is you do get to talk to directly to, like if you're having a problem with a product, you get to talk to those people here. The people that are higher up, more responsible for the decision, the people that can get your problem solved faster. So as a solar service manager, that's super useful to have that direct contact. And then you also just get exposed to the possibilities for moving towards the future in terms of how to install systems, how to accomplish your goals. So like for instance, for re-roofing, like that's a problem we have to deal with on the service side a bunch. Somebody needs to replace their roof. You take the system off, you put the system back on. You need new attachments every single time.
Yeah.
You don't have to use.
A lot of installers skip that part, unfortunately. So
Oh, that's not great. That's not great.
homeowners, make sure
Always-
that you get yes,
Always have the attachments replaced.
exactly.
But you don't have to use the same manufacturer's roof attachments. You can find other ones. Like for instance, Sunstack has they're alumni from Roof Tech, the RT Mini, the Butyl stuff, and they are just following through in that mission over at Sunstack with just a great roof attachment that I just used like a month ago on a huge re-roof that we did. But those connections don't come without getting to these shows and having that personal connection. It's super helpful.
Yeah.
Martyna, it's your turn.
All right. So, I've been coming to these shows since 2015, I think was my first show. So it's been
almost a decade.
It's going to be almost a decade. I remember people were probably thinking, what is this kid doing?
Yeah. Were you creating content then?
No.
Okay.
So we started as an installer. We're still an installer. So similar kind of the boat as you. But my dad would always say that we're going to the show even for one conversation.
Right.
Even if you meet one person that will give you an idea of what to do, how to do it, etc. My dad would always mentor me like, you never know. And even yesterday we had a conversation with K2. It's a racking manufacturer.
Yeah.
And they showed us this mounting that we've never seen before. And we're like, oh my God, we're putting in an order tomorrow. We love it. You know what I mean? So for, my dad, that was a big thing.
Yeah.
For me, right now, like you said, too, is that we meet with people in the industry. We sometimes see them at different booths, as they kind of travel from different part of the industry. And it's huge to have those conversations and obviously to learn where the industry is going. And right now, everybody is focused on storage. This is the next big hurdle that we got to hop across. And I think the second we do, when we solve the storage problem, I think it's going to be huge. So conversations, connections, and storage.
I like that.
Yeah.
You were looking for a C there.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
That's close enough.
Containment. No.
Yeah,
So-
for sure.
Yeah, so I think I toyed with the idea of like, what's the biggest story of the show? What's your biggest takeaway?
There's so many stories
Yeah.
though. Like there's
There
so many paths you can follow.
There really are.
If you have an agenda, you can go in and find what you're looking for.
Yeah, and I think Martyna, to your point, like people do come in part because they want to be inspired, and in part because they've been having Zoom or just regular telephone calls with vendors, oftentimes from other countries, for 8, 10, maybe more than 12 months, and they get a chance to be face-to-face. They get a chance to stumble across new technology. And that value add to the average installer's business can mean the difference in accelerating a project from going from 8 hours, a typical shift, to 6 hours, right? And now they have a rotation period that allows them more profitability. It allows their men to, it allows their field teams to rest longer, right? It incurs less overall pain in the system, right? So I've been coming to RE Plus since 2006 when it was 2,500 people in San Jose, and showing my age here. And I had a small residential solar company in Monterey, California, just trying to figure out how do I help homeowners with figuring out which technology to use. At the time, like most installers, I'm agnostic. So, to go from, at the time, installing Mitsubishi 170s and Solarboi 3000s to what the industry is.
They were heavy, weren't they?
Yes, they were. To what the industry is right now, it's just remarkable to see the growth that we've achieved. One of the things that I think is an overlooked story this week that I learned about just yesterday, in fact, right before we had our session, Joe, with you on the stage here, there's a company that came out of the Google ecosystem paired with Ohm Connect. And if you guys aren't super familiar with Ohm Connect, they have a data analytics and a data warehouse for rates and how homeowners are using electricity, specifically like how much electricity is being used at a home or a neighborhood level, that lots of folks were using as a data aggregation platform to get information on where there's opportunity on the grid. These guys sort of did an end around on the VPP industry. And I think that it's a story that is going to get more airtime as people start to realize, wait, there's a 200 gigawatt need in the marketplace, 160 gigawatts of which virtual power plants can satisfy in terms of providing grid flexibility. And Renew Home is a partnership between Google Nest and Ohm Connect. It is, I'm not going to say the ultimate, but it is an absolutely premium platform for leveraging the data that comes through the Nest Power platform and Ohm Connect to give homeowners access to participating at the nodal level, at the community level, into what we all expect to be power producing opportunities where homeowners can get paid. And I think ultimately every homeowner can get excited about that. Every homeowner can get excited about that. Now, the solar industry needs to wake up, because what just happened says that the homeowner doesn't need solar and they don't need storage to make money from the utility. They can use a simple device like Nest. So we have to think about how we can integrate these devices, and we have to expand our understanding of the electrified home. And I love the fact that most of the homeowners out there who are paying attention and using YouTube ultimately will track back to one of you three to get their answers. So I'm relying on you to come up with what is the solution if it's not Nest and Renew Home, for homeowners to think about controlling their hot water, their refrigerator, their thermostat, and how it ties back to their own self-generation with their solar, with their battery storage. It's an ecosystem that we have to really be able to understand and then communicate to homeowners over time.
Yeah.
For sure.
No, that sounds pretty sweet.
We got to make it idiot-proof, too, because a lot of people don't like to touch things.
Yeah.
So the system got to think for us.
Well, it's officially a wrap here at RE Plus 2024 in Anaheim. I want to thank Joe, Martyna, and Solarboi for taking time to be here with us in this recap. It has been such a fun conversation. If you haven't already, I'm going to give them a chance. Please tell them how they can find you. Solarboi?
You can find me on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. You can go to solarboy.com. That has all my links. If you're interested in UL 3741, I have a whole website, ul3741.com,
Nice.
that cross-references railing and inverters, help you design the best system you can.
Amazing. Martyna?
That's awesome. And it's funny because I'm on Instagram, Solar Girl.
Yep.
Oh, that's so fun. Collab in the works. Yes.
Solargirl.dallas on Instagram. That's my lifestyle business owner platform. And then on YouTube, anything solar, anything new technology, it's going to be Solar Time with Martyna.
Yeah.
Solar Time, like it's time for solar.
But the Y, right? Solar Time with a Y? Is that
No,
right?
it's actually
Oh,
time.
it is Time? Okay.
Yeah, it's time.
In my mind, I saw it as Solar Time. So
Solar
it's
time with Martyna.
Time for solar time.
now, but Martyna for sure.
Yeah,
and it's
nice.
Martyna with a Y.
That's probably why.
There it is.
Joe?
And of course, Solar Surge YouTube channel is the best way to follow us. If you're a homeowner looking for solar for your home, you can find us at solarsurge.net.
We'll link to all of this, of course, in the show notes. And be on the lookout. There is collectively terabytes of data that we've collected in the form of videos and audio that we'll be publishing over the coming weeks. Please subscribe to these channels. These folks are making amazing content to educate and inform you so that you don't make the mistakes that others have. Learn from the best in the industry. Thank you for joining us here on SunCast.